What's going on, y'all? Hey, if you don't know me, my name is Keith. I do Black Quarterback Series. Anything from Teddy Bridgewater all the way down to Patrick Mahomes, we're covering it. So let's get into it. Black Quarterback Series, Week 15. Let's get it. So hey, it's a weird week, y'all. So I'm recording this right before the Seahawks game and right before the Eagles game, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but if I recorded an extra video for those games, the link will be at the top of the description. Also, I'm going to leave a clip at the end of it if I made a full-length video, or I might just leave the clips. I'm not sure how I want to do it. Yeah. So stay tuned for those, and if you haven't watched those, link will be at the end and at the top of the card. So let's get into the games that have been played already. This segment will probably be pretty short because a lot of these games I can talk about really, really quickly. So we have the Cardinals. What was that? Let me say his number. So Kyler Murray was 23 for 41, 257 yards, touchdown and interception. Now let's get into what the hell happened. So they took Detroit lightly. They took Detroit lightly, and they ended up getting beat on by Detroit because they took them lightly, and then they looked up and they was down 21. Nothing went well. Nothing went well at all. Kyler Murray lost his focus. He lost his composure, and now they're looking at possibly not even making the playoffs. And you might be like, "Oh, Keith, what you mean? Blah 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 blah." If they get to a wild card and they don't have a home game, I don't think they can win a playoff game. I just don't think they can win a playoff game if they're the away team, because these bottom teams, these Minnesotas, these the Rams, they could possibly face the Rams in the first round. It just looks really, really bad right now. Now D-Hop wasn't there, so that's always gonna mess your offense up with your number one receiver out there. But your Kyler Murray's supposed to get it done. There's no reason in the world you should be down 3-17 to the worst team in the NFL ever, as the best team, one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. There's no reason you should ever be down. WTF. That's what I wrote on my paper. I don't know if y'all can see it. It says WTF. So like, I don't even know what to say. They got absolutely blitzed. And I use blitz, and I use that word blitz for a reason. So there's nothing really I can say about that. And so we move on to Tyler Huntley and the Ravens. Tyler Huntley was 28 for 40, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13 carries, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews had himself a day, 10 receptions, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, I liked everything they did. You're facing probably the best team in the NFC in your house. I liked everything they did except for the last play of the game. And it's not because they went for 2. It was because of the play they called. Why call a rollout when you cut the field off and there's only one player? It's you and Mark Andrews. It's like you got to play catch. And it's 11 people against you 2. Run a dive, because he was killing them on the ground. Run a play where you have a screen pass, run pass option in it. You got to be more exotic. They run this. If I was Green Bay and I was a good coach, unlike Matt Nagy, but we get to Matt Nagy later, and I was a good coach, I wouldn't have ran that play. You don't run that. You run something to where if all breaks down, Huntley can make a play, get into the end zone, game over, you win. But no, you run that same little rollout play that they didn't ran every single time they needed 2-point conversion. Me as a fan know that. I know definitely every DC in the league knows that. So it was a bad play. It was a good decision, bad play call. Just an awful play call. Tyler Huntley is going to get paid. He's going to get paid. I had a friend who said he should look at going to Carolina. I think that'd be a good decision for him. And speaking of that friend, he wanted me to give a shout out to the Vikings and say what I think about the Vikings and give them a segment real quick. So this is for you, bro. There's no way they should be fighting for a playoff spot. They should be thoroughly in the playoffs. They should be one of the top 2 seeds in the league. They should have beat a lot of these teams that they lost to. Your coach needs to be fired just as much as Matt Nagy needs to be fired. So, yeah, that's my little Viking segment for him. And I'm not going to tell him about it. And hopefully he watches. But speaking of Carolina, we have Cam Newton. Cam Newton was 18 for 38. A rushing touchdown, 156 yards in the interception. Josh Allen, Cam Newton, they're like almost the same player. They'll give you these, oh my God, I can't believe they're so talented moments. And then they give you these, oh my God, I can't believe they did this moments. And you get a game where Josh Allen is a quarterback and Cam Newton is a quarterback, the whole game is like that. The whole game is like, wow, I can't believe he threw that. And oh my God, I can't believe he threw that. Like the whole game was like, oh my God, what? What? But the Panthers are a mess. They were gassing them on the ground with one of the greatest rushers ever in Cam Newton. But y'all go away from that? Now, granted, Cam made some awful decisions, but he made some awful decisions, and Matt Rule is a bad coach. So, somebody asked me what I would grade Cam. I said I gave him a C. Just enough. I could see somebody giving them a D because they lost. But when your offensive line is that terrible, and what else I have on here? Your offensive line is that terrible, and your defense is just as up and down. This is kind of the thing that happens. It's been like this with Carolina since forever. So, it's probably Cam's last, and I think I said this last year. I hope I'm wrong this year. Carolina has 2 options. And my friend Sports Guy Matt brought this up to me. Shout out to you, bro. What do you do in their situation? Because they're paying Teddy Bridgewater still. They got Sam Darnold. They have Cam Newton. They have PJ Washington. I think you trade all 4 of them for parts. You trade all 3. You trade 3 of them and keep PJ Washington, or you trade all 4 for parts. For draft picks, capital, money, incentives, get stuff off the books, or you pick Cam and keep PJ Walker, give Cam a whole offseason. Just the same thing they did in New England. And if it wasn't for how awful New England was, they'd have made the playoffs with 10 wins. You let Cam learn the offense, and then you groom PJ Walker behind him to be a backup or the next guy to take over. I'm not sure how old PJ Walker is. Because your draft pick is not going to be very good. You're going to be in the mid-teens, late 20s. So it's not like you're going to get a quarterback, and this draft doesn't have generational talent in it. So I say you wait till next year. You're not going to get Bryce Young because Bryce Young won't be eligible yet. You see what happens next year in the draft. And you see what happens next year in the draft, and you go from there. And you just hope Cam can put it together. Or you release 3 of them, and then you just go PJ Walker and just repeat the same thing you would do with Cam. You got to shore that defense up. That defense needs to be better. There's no reason this defense should be so up and down. Now, I feel like the defense has injuries. I haven't really looked into their defense like that. But you definitely have to be at that offensive line. So, but I don't think Cam's the answer. I'm glad Cam came back, though. But if I was them, I don't know if I would keep him. And that's just being for real. But he can't possibly be worse than what you already had. And the fans love him. So, I don't know. I don't know what to even say about the situation. I just know they need to be better. So, let's talk about Dallas. Before I talk about Dallas, free Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley needs to be on a better team. I would love to see Saquon with a team that actually know how to use him. I wouldn't put him on the Ravens because the Ravens backfield is crowded. But if you gave him to a team that actually needed him, that it's actually in playoff contention, he would be so much better. I know he's injury prone, but he's never been behind a good offensive line. So free Saquon Barkley. Dallas should have scored 40 points. They should have scored 40 points. Dak Prescott was 28 for 37, 217 yards and a touchdown. There's no reason in the world you shouldn't have 400 or 500 yards passing on them. There's just no way in the world. Why are y'all not being able to close the deal in the red zone against Dallas or not against New York? any New York team. It doesn't even matter. Like I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't think they had players out with COVID, so it doesn't make sense at all for me. It doesn't make sense at all. Trayvon Diggs ties the NFL record with 10 interceptions. I'm gonna say he has the record now because Night Train Lane did it like back in 56 or 50, the pre-modern era. So Diggs has the modern era record. Now, no disrespect to Night Train, you know, I'm all for disrespect to no heads here, but he has the record now. I consider Trayvon Diggs to have the record, and the way he got it was the modernest way possible. The way he caught the ball inbound, like he was a receiver, like the most modern way possible. Play well. You play well. This Dallas' defense is not your father's Dallas' defense. Because this defense is something terrible. It terrorized. I can't remember who's playing quarterback because Daniel Jones is out. He terrorized the quarterback for New York. And just, it's not much I can say about it because they ran away with it. It's not much I can say about it because they ran away with it. So, just say good win by Dallas. They should have won by more. And final game in this segment before I move over to all the Tuesday night games. The Bears and Vikings. Oh my God. From the awful calls to the awful play calling to the out coaching, it was bad football. It was bad football. Like the whole thing was just bad football. Minnesota, the same thing I said about Dallas. Minnesota should have won by more. I'm struggling to find words. Fireman Nagy. You doing all this yelling all night. But when you're supposed to make the right coaching decision, you can't make the right coaching decision, like calling a timeout. Really? That's what we doing? Justin Fields played decent. I would give him a D for real because it at times it just looked terrifyingly bad, but then other times it just looked really, really good. So I don't even know. As you can see, I'm struggling with words to put up with to describe this game. Yeah, rough. If there's something I can say about this game, rough. So this is after the Tuesday night games. I don't think I said it in the earlier video, but we're gonna talk about Teddy Bridgewater as well. Teddy Bridgewater was carted off. Sunday. Was going for a first down. Tried to do his thing. Hit his head right on the ground. He was 12 for 22, 98 yards, and no touchdown, no interception before he went out. He was taken straight to the hospital, and prior to this recording, he was released. I don't have any more information on that, but if there's any information that comes out post, you guys will know. I'll put it up on the screen. And so, the last two games of the week finally, and we're here. We'll talk about the worst game of the two first. We'll talk about Seattle versus the Rams. And so the beginning of the game, it was not a light show. It wasn't much of anything. The final score was 10-17. It was an old school game, bully ball, old school game all the way up and through. But it did end up getting more competitive than it actually was throughout most of the game. Aaron Donald was a straight monster. They couldn't do nothing with Aaron Donald. Couldn't do nothing with him at all. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I'm sure he got a couple sacks. He affected the game beyond stats. And he just made life hard for Seattle. They couldn't get no offense going. And with that back half being as stout as it is too, it was just really, really difficult for Seattle. Russ was 17 for 31, 156 yards and an interception. Even with that being said, they still had a chance to win, and they should have had a better chance to win if the referees would have called the pass interference call. That was pass interference. If I can find it, I'll show you guys the clip. But that was definitely pass interference. They should have got another shot at it. But they didn't, because the referees are awful. So they ended up losing. This is their first losing season under Russell Wilson since he took over as the starting quarterback. They're 5-9 now. Their season's over. So I think Russ is looking good now, so I don't think he should sit. Just let him finish out the season, stay healthy. And you have to figure out what you're going to do with Russ now. Is it going to stay? It's going to go. You're going to fire Pete Carroll. You can keep Pete Carroll. Something has to give. You can't go back into next season with this same marriage. So it remains to be seen, and we'll see. So the last game of the week, which I was more excited about, and I wish this game was nationally televised. Jalen Hurts against the COVID Washington football team. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying we all know Washington's defense is awful, of course. And we know their quarterback, I think they were one of the teams that their whole quarterback room was decimated. But I don't want that to take away from what Jalen Hurts and his offense did. The game ended up being 17-27, but it was never that close. They dominated. They dominated the whole game. If it wasn't for the crazy turnover, off, what is his name? Goddard's leg, and the fumble by Jalen, the game would have been 7-27, and it would have been over way before then, because they absolutely dominated on offense. Jalen Hurts was 20 for 26, 296 yards, interception, 2 rushing touchdowns. Miles Sanders, 18 carries, 131 yards rushing. Dallas Goedert, 7 receptions, 135 yards. Now, they were down 10 because of their turnovers, but they really didn't, Washington really didn't get nothing going after that. So that tells you, if they didn't get that 10 points, the game would have been over really, really quickly. But just even watching the highlights and breaking down the film and everything, they dominated. The game was never close. Now, this is Washington we're talking about. And it's COVID Washington at that. But those are things you could take away from this game. They were really good. They looked like baby Baltimore. They ran the ball really well. Had Jalen Hurts had Jalen Hurts moving in the pocket, throwing. He was very accurate today, more than usual. It looked really, really good. I was very impressed. I was excited to watch it. Devontae Smith is an absolute beast, and they looked really, really good. So they're sitting at 7-7 now. And Dallas better watch out, because the way Dallas is up and down, they catch Dallas on a bad day, and they could possibly take that. They could sneak into the playoffs and make life tough for anybody. Because I don't think nobody wants to play the Eagles when they're playing Eagle football. Ever since I said the Eagles need to stop trying to pass so much and run the ball, they've ran the ball, and it's been working for them. Even in the games that they lost, running the ball worked with them. So yeah, that's pretty much the week finally. So we finally got through the week. Hopefully everybody gets better and everybody's asymptomatic, and we can get back to football and get back to basketball like we were doing before. So everybody be safe out there. I'll probably have a video coming out. Let's see what day that will be. That'll be Thursday. I have a video coming out about the NFC West and the NFC East. I'll probably just put them in the same video. But if you like what you're hearing, you cool with the content, you rocking with the content, like, subscribe, do all those YouTubery things, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.